Yes, indeed, it is our turn. Welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Kate of Gaia, with fellow host Tony Z here at the helm tonight with a, can't even call him a guest, he's a friend, it's kind of, yeah, that's what that is. It's like, yeah, we're just going to have some coffee talk tonight, hanging out with everybody and just talking with Dean. And any topics? Nah, we'll shoot from the hip. That's what the Irish do best, so that's what we're going to do tonight. Yeah, the board's already lit up, so not surprised. Tony, have we got you?
Yep, absolutely. I'm here, Kate.
Awesome. And Dean, are you there? Okay, I knew he was going off to make a tea or a coffee or something, so we'll just wait for him to jump in.
Oh no! I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry, I'm here.
I do that all the time. It's like blah 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 blah. Oh, better unmute. It's an Irish blonde thing. It's all good. I've got my excuses at least, right? So how are you doing?
Man, I've been at it since first thing this morning. I worked all week. I put in a 70-hour work week at the job site. Woke up this morning, didn't forget actually, but I had my first radio interview first thing this morning, and then I've been on the forum and on chat, Skype with everybody since, and it's probably going to go through till about midnight tonight till I put in my next 70-hour work week here starting tomorrow morning. So.
Normal. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. People don't realize the energy we put into this stuff, eh?
No, not at all. And, hey, fellow general contractor here, I'm used to the 80 to 100-hour work weeks and then throw in the music on top of it, gigging and different venues, and then, research, too. So it's a wonder we get anything done, actually.
Well, it is true. And I think that's actually why for the better part of a decade there wasn't much getting accomplished, because we were so bogged down. We couldn't make any headway anywhere. Yeah,
absolutely, and it's only with the advent of so many of us, whatever you want to call it, roads that we took. It was life led us where we are. It brought me to the helm, 16 plus hours a day, 7 days a week for the last almost 3.5 years now. I set everything down to carry this torch.
Well, that's I did for a couple of years there to the detriment of my construction company.
Oh, yeah.
But that unfortunately financed most of what I did, so that had to get back onto the top of things as well. But
yeah, that's where I was rather, I wouldn't call it lucky. I just not that there's anything left, but I used up basically all my savings to stay in the fight. So I understand totally. I spent years, how hard we work. Anyone that's ever run a construction site or had to put up with training a lot of new people in that regard. I was just saying to a friend today, says it's funny on the work sites. So I show somebody how to do something once, twice, whatever, and if they had to keep coming back to me, I says, listen, don't worry about it, I'll do it myself, because I don't have time to train the same thing over and over. So it got very frustrating. So I'm sure you've had a few experiences with, I'll just do it myself, and that's basically what I've done.
Well, and a lot of that carries over now into this field now too. It turns out that actually when you start structuring things the same way you did your construction company, and start delegating some authority and running this whole whatever people are getting organizations together, you run it the same way. It actually turns out to be an awful lot more successful.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing, is we take our life skills and we just reapply the same principles, and lo and behold, results. How does that happen? Well, it's called planning. It's called getting it done, and it's called getting the right work habits going and knuckling down and getting to business. That's what we do,
Well, I guess we're prepared for it, so that's good. So bring it on, and on that, I guess what's going on this week? Anything interesting?
Well, lots of stuff going on. I'll let Tony jump all over that one. But you were on with Dave on Will Spirit Radio this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't he something? I love him.
Yeah, I thought I remember talking to him a while back, maybe a year and a half ago or more. I can't remember. Sometimes I'm surprised when I hear an interview that I did a year and a half ago. I'm like, I don't remember doing that interview.
Yeah, I know. And Dave, he's got this beautiful energy that he just kind of sits back and lets things go. He reminds me of just, and I hate using the word old, but I'm going to use it because it works. Like the wise old gentleman that never says much, and then as soon as you need it, before you even ask the question, there's the answer. So it's just a beautiful being to be around and talk with.
Observers. Most of the great theologians throughout history were observers.
Mm-hmm.
They would sit and observe and say nothing for years, and then when they finally did have something to say, it was something that was a sentence long and was very profound about what they just spent last 2 years looking at.
Yeah, it made sense of it all and put it, codified it down from a book into one sentence.
Yep.
That's right on. Tony, a couple of things going on.
Yeah.
Figured you might say
Very
that.
interesting. Well, just to give a really brief update, we've been trying to repair Sync from the damage that was done. We're having loads of grief with it, but fortunately we've got some good people that are helping out there. But we're juggling bits and pieces of, I'm not even going to even bother trying to explain all of the codes and the stuff that's gone wrong. But anyway, so if Syncrenicity looks like it's changing, it's flipping from one design to another, and it's because it actually is. We're still trying to correct all the bugs, and we're trying to, iron out all the problems that have been inflicted, I think is the correct word. But having said that, among doing that at the same time, we've also been releasing some very important news today. There is an article on the front page of Syncrenicity that's basically been, I'll be honest, it's been constructed by a gentleman called Tony Farrell. And Tony Farrell was the principal intelligence officer for the police. In other words, he was a trained investigator to investigate incidents, let's say, and he was one of the top men. So he was, not only was he trained to do his job, but he did his job. And when he did his job, he found out the truth about what was actually going on. And being a genuine, honest, forthright person, he was like, well, okay, I can see what's happened, I can see all the evidence, and I can see what's gone on here, but it's not the story that they want me to tell everybody. It's actually their own, never mind all that, just say it's this. It is the information that they're getting. In other words, they want to cover up what he has found out about the 7/7 bombings. Now, since then, he's done lots and lots and lots and lots of work. He was fired from his job. He's lost his pension, I do believe, and many other things. And he's compiled some incredible evidence. It is what it is, which is freely available to download. Again, if you go to the front page of Syncrenicity, all the information you need is there. The report is there. The evidence is there. There's video interviews there of Tony and another lady we'll get to in a moment. But all the information's there. So, it's, all people have got to do now. This is breaking news, and it's already had well over, it's coming on to 1,500 hits today on this alone. Because the proof is in the pudding, and it's sitting there waiting for somebody to taste it. It's that solid. So obviously they've tried to cover it up, and they've tried to bury it, and the news, obviously, the mainstream media is not touching it with a 10-foot barge pole, which is why we've got to start bringing this information out as a responsible sort of like set of people. We need to deal with the facts as what they are. We'll look at the evidence, and we'll have to weigh it up. And then, as soon as we do that, we get the information out, and then other people can go and decide for themselves, having educated themselves or looked at the facts as they stand. And anyway, so this has gone out today, and as I said, it's had a massive response already today. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. This snowball's going to grow, is the understatement, because it actually undermines it undermines the justice system and all sorts of things because of the implications of what's been found. Over and above that, at one particular point, a judge, I understand, was killed to try and bury this information. And he was, so I heard today, he's one of the top judges in intellectual property. So, again, all of the information is there. I'm just giving you the basic backdrop or the zip file. If you want to go to synchronicity.com, synchronicity with an E, you can look at all the evidence, download a copy of the report yourself, the names, the faces, the dates, the situations, the evidence, it's all there. So there you go. That's a brilliant piece of breaking news. And for the next couple of days, we're going to be following up with radio interviews with various people on various different radio stations, some of which have already been prepared, ready for these people to come on. And also there's some interesting information to do with intellectual property theft, which is a big, big business, and to do with a lady there called Seven who's listening in tonight. So hi, Seven. And yeah, if people can go and check out her interview and check out her information, compile that with the rest of the information dossier that's there, and we'll start getting some truth out there and start cracking this one open. But it's a very big case, and it's time we take the lid off the bull, and get to the truth. Stop pussyfooting around, all the excuses. So let's get on with it. Let's get it done.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was going to say, yeah, you said start. Are you kidding me? We'll call that one for what it is. No, that's the thing is we started a long time ago, and what's happening is this snowball has just grown and grown, and hey Tony, you had me at them off on their own, as in that judge. So that is all the proof I need, and by one's actions, one is already known anyway. And I know you've got some interesting changes on your forum and site there, Dean. Did you want to maybe outline that a little bit?
We haven't even began the real changes there yet. Yeah, I've been somewhat lax getting around to it there, but we got a whole lot of stuff planned for that forum of what it's going to be ballooning into. One of which is something that we're going to have to talk about before I really get into it publicly also here in the next couple of days. But we want to turn the whole thing into a utility as well. And again, Alex it works about as many hours and travels quite a bit as the rest of us do. So he's trying to get to it when he's got time.
Here we go.
I'm building that place and getting a lot of sources on there, and we're hoping to switch to live stream here right away, because I want to start getting some live stream video blogs, some vlogs up there as soon as possible for the forum members, and start the training videos, and just really start getting the information more out there as much as we can. Take advantage of the fact that you're right. There's just a snowball going right now, and we're seeing it every day now. More court cases coming out of the United States and Canada, where judges are just starting to own up to the fact that, yeah, okay, you got us. We're public servants, and we've been lying to you for your entire life.
Yeah, go figure. What are the odds of that crap, right?
Yeah, gee. And the only thing that comes to mind when you're saying that, we've been doing this for a long time. Right when you said that, I was like, yeah. Roseanne Cash song came to mind. That was country when country wasn't cool.
I know, eh? We were truthers when truth wasn't cool.
Yeah, and it was not cool. We got a lot of flack for that back in the day, and now we're not looking so bad. So instead of people telling us that we should pay our fair share if we want to use the roads, now people want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, because they've had enough. Again, it depends on what level of tolerance people have for bullshit. Some people have got really thick skin for it. I guess if you're a Leaf fan, you're a Leaf fan, right? It boggles the imagination. When people go to work and basically 95% of their output is chewed up in taxes right across the board.
Well, you know what? Just the other day, I was getting gas in my truck, and I like to see what's on the front page of the Winnipeg Free Press when I'm standing in the gas station there and have a good laugh about it. Not that I would ever actually buy one of those pieces of puke, but the front page news headline was the fact that somebody actually did an investigative report on how much waste goes on at Winnipeg City Hall, and the fact that the councillors have been busted wasting their expense accounts on absolute garbage just to make sure the expense account gets filled again the next year, and they can say, oh, we need more because I used my whole expense account.
Yeah.
And it was just sickening. And it's a pittance. It's a drop in the bucket to what's going on federally with provincial governments, with everything else. I was just talked about that on Wolf Spirit Radio this morning, that there was an article that came out 9 months ago, and this is for the mainstream people. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's mainstream concerns here that anybody should be concerned about, not just people that in our more to the one side view comes from. And the report from 9 months ago, and I could probably even find it still, somebody had actually done the numbers, and they had found that to do with gasoline taxes, And what they found was that if you add up all the money that's spent on infrastructure, building new roads, maintaining roads, snow clearing, you name it. If it has to do with building a highway or maintaining a highway or roads within cities or in Canada, it was added into this number. And it turned out that the city of Vancouver alone collects more gasoline taxes than would be required to service that debt every year.
Yeah, it's amazing that, isn't it? You know, it's funny to mention that the accounts that they, you know, spend in order to, but for the next year, a friend of mine
You're picking up, and I don't know if it's just on my end.
No, it's they're hacking us. Don't worry about it. Normal. Back in the 90s, talking about the university and in the town I was in, and the city, and you name it, and how they're, you know, they go out of their way. And this individual had a business where it was a printing business where got to quote benefit until she said enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. As far as spending, you know, putting out useless pamphlets and garbage and what have you, and someone had let it drop one day. Yeah, we got to spend the budget so we can get a 10% increase for next year. You know, and it's all about blatant waste to make sure that the illusion is kept intact. But guys, bottom line is we're seeing it, we're uncovering it, and it is now very, very cool to be a truther.
Well, yeah, and again, a lot of people actually usually contact me and they're like, hey, what are things I can use for getting like more like mainstream thinking people interested in this? And that's the one thing I always bring up is government waste, government corruption, and this isn't minor. It's not minor when 90% of gasoline taxes go missing and don't go to their intended purpose. That's mind-boggling. That's not just, oh, we can't find 5% of the money. That's like when the Federal Reserve admits that they can't locate $2 trillion, which is a full 1/10 or 1/15 of the American money supply. We don't know what we did with it.
Oops.
How do you not know? Is that not your only job? Right?
Oh, yeah.
90% of gasoline taxes, they cannot track them. They don't know what they do with them. They're just gone. And that's just gasoline taxes. If that doesn't piss everybody off,
exactly,
there's a problem.
Well, let's go back to good old 9/11, September 10th, as a matter of fact. There's good old Donnie Aspartame Rumsfeld talking about 1-point-something trillion they couldn't locate in the Pentagon, and
oh, that was Dov Zakheim. That was the Israeli rabbi that was running the Pentagon at the time, right at the time of the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah, day before they announced they were going to do an investigation into it, and then of course a little distraction happened the next day. You know. Yeah,
gee, and then the Israeli rabbi that's in charge of the Pentagon can't. That story's buried. And unending wars, 9/11 happens. Oh yeah, it's all just whatever. Take it for what you will.
It was a coincidence that the same part of the building was damaged where all the paperwork was kept, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, man, we had that investigation. It was just completed, and everything went up in a ball of smoke. I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, we didn't have any files saved anywhere other than those, 20 or 30 rooms.
What are the chances?
Pretty slim. Speaking of rabbis, I'm going to do an appeal out to the Orthodox Jewish people out there. Just got another report in. Now 13 children, and I know this is a low number, 13 boys, 2 of which ended up with brain damage, 2 died, and 2 more were just reported as having herpes, as given to them through a rather sick mutilation penis-sucking contest that these... it's so archaic. I had to bring it up because it absolutely sickened me. This is child mutilation, guys. Okay.
They still bite the foreskin with their teeth, to do the circumcision.
Yeah, it's
blood sacrifice.
Yeah, it is. It's blood sacrifice, and you're worshiping Satan. And there was an interesting photograph, and I passed the article around when it came to me, and then I opened the article to have a scan through it, and then I looked at this one entity. I can't even call it a human. That was standing just in the background. You can only see one eye, very, very yellow skin, and Saturn's cube on its head. And it did not look human, Anyway, for those that want to see that, I'll probably end up reposting it now on my Facebook. Just tag me on Facebook, kate.rene.5, KATE.RENE.5. And yeah, it was it's amazing when you start looking a little bit deeper than what's on the surface. You know, it was just downright creepy, to be honest with you. You know, I couldn't make heads nor tails of it, and it just anyway, just apparently the two they're supposed to be in New York. They're supposed to be what do you call those? The parents have to sign a permission slip kind of thing. You know, we own your kid, so in order for this type of circumcision to occur, and the last two reports of the two boys that were infected with herpes, guys, think about it. Okay, this is sick. They were given nothing.
You know what? Speaking of that, and that just reminded me, one of the things I was kind of off on earlier today is I was just reading a couple of articles about how the courts and the government are now starting to break the ice with people, that their kids basically are now owned by the community and not the parents, because there's so many stories coming out the last couple of weeks about parents kidnapping their children back from government custody. Like, it's possible for you to kidnap your children back, since we're on the topic of children right now. Like, when the state takes your children, it's because they're property of the community as a whole, and you're not allowed your children back. And if you go and take your children back, you're now a kidnapper?
Well, yeah, that little ruse. I'll go into it again tonight because I know you'll want to hear this.
Oh my God! I couldn't believe it when I heard that.
Well, here's the thing, and this is for all the parents out there, myself included. I know better and changed things a little bit there, but the simple truth of the matter is, guys, and this you can look this up in Black's Law 9th Ward of Admiralty, and it'll outline it exactly what actually happens with the children, and it is about the children. This is chitty bang bang on steroids. What they effectively do is they, in order to stay in honor, because you know where I've been, Dean, this whole got to find out how we're in dishonor, and you know how they can get away with the shit they get away with. On an ethereal level, and what I uncovered was the simple truth that the parents give up the child. That's why they have a given name, because it's been given away, right? Give up the child willingly, with of course the non-disclosure of what was really happening was never done. And fraud, there's no statute of limitations on fraud. So what's happened is the parents are the ones that are actually aiding and abetting in their own children's fraud, by one, giving them a name, and then two, registering that name, three, convincing the children for a lifetime that they are that name. The only document that ever comes from the government to any of us is a birth certificate. It's an offer to contract, basically, and it says right on it, not to be used for identification purposes, yet we can't get any identification from the government without it. So what are we doing? Well, we're willfully going in and aiding and abetting in our own fraud, and that's why that's why they can turn around and say that we're actually kidnapping our kids back, because in the legal, lawful, ethereal, physical sense, that's exactly what has and what is happening. But this is, for me, is the biggest layer, has been stripped away, and again, we have to look in the mirror to see the answers, and it was our fault, but now we know what was done and we can reverse it.
Well, if it's the word of the game of words. As long as they're always trying to elicit these images that, you know, like these evil parents who apparently were the one article I read today there, that apparently the kids were taken away because the parents enjoyed smoking a joint once in a while. Literally, like it said, apparently they were both engineers, and they would have a couple of tokes or something like that once a week and whatnot, and they would end up eating most of the food in the fridge. So apparently that was the grounds for the government moving in and stealing the kids, and so I guess the parents have now gone and they've taken the kids back, and apparently they're literally on the run with the kids, and they're thinking that they loaded the whole family onto a sailboat and they're gone.
Wow.
Maybe gone altogether, but just the fact that they could convince the rest of the people that it's even possible for you to kidnap your own children.
Well, again, it's what do we believe, and you know, there are many of us now finally awake to the point where we're not buying their bullshit anymore.
No, like if it had been anybody else that took our kids and we went and took them back, everybody would be like, well, yeah, damn right. You better believe you go take your the Catholic priest down the street stole my kids and said they were property of the Catholic Church. ooh, dude, you better go get them back and maybe take them for a herpes test.
Yeah, well,
Right? Like that would be the normal response of a rational adult. And as the minute you move government into the equation of Catholic priests, though, for some reason, this mental block goes up and a form of retardation takes over. And it's now acceptable as long as the government does it.
Well, yeah, I was talking about this the other night with regards to separation of church and state. And, when you look at mom and dad going into those that go into a church and get married, they've given their marriage up to the Satan ritual of, I don't care what church, synagogue, what do they call them? Muslim centers. What do they call their
I'm trying to remember. I've been online all day.
In the mosque. Yeah, I know. I'm having brain farts. Right, words that I've said 1,010 times. It doesn't matter. When you walk into one of those buildings, you're actually going into contract in the same way that when you walk into a hospital ward, you're walking into a state contract. So they've effectively, what they've done via the marriage is again, you give up your marriage to the church or the state. So I'm not getting married in church. I'm going to go down to City Hall. It doesn't matter. You've given it up to either the church or the state. So they got you coming, they got you going. So every contract that a mom and dad would get into in that marriage, well, the marriage isn't theirs because that's why they outlawed these secret weddings. You can go back to Braveheart as a prime example, where they used to have weddings out in the open, but hidden, so that the baron or the lord of the area wasn't going to shag the newlywed bride first, right? Mm-hmm. It goes on and on, but the simple fact is, we in our own actions have willingly given up so much of our free will choice by thinking we're doing the right thing, and that's ignorance. And of course, and when you talk of ignorance of the law is not a defense from it, that includes universal law, and that's why it's about time that people wake up to this stuff. Look what Kevin Annat's doing with the churches and exposing the pedophilia there. I mean, there was a story just out of England a few days back. I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 more victims of pedophilia had come forward. Now what's happening? It's not only is it cool to be a truther, but it's also cool to be a victim and point out your oppressor. And that's what we have to do. We got to bring these guys into the light. Now,
that can be a pro and a con, by the way, and maybe I'll want to touch on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're here. Coffee talk.
Yeah, agreed. One thing I have noticed is that when it becomes cool to become part of a group now, is unfortunately when fake stories start to surface, because you want to be part of that group, or maybe you want in on the paychecks they're getting. And that's why sometimes I always make sure I caution people to always weigh out any circumstance like that, because there's a lot of people that just want attention in this world. Sometimes they're willing to make things up to get that attention, and or they want to get rich quick, or they want a paycheck from the courts, and a situation that may have happened suddenly becomes much worse, right? They elaborate, or they just make stuff up, and they make it much more than what it really was. So we really have to take a lot of these things with a grain of salt. There's no question, because the truth is always, anytime you have a dispute between two parties, the truth is always right in the middle. It might be off to the left, it might be off to the right, but they're both going to, one's going to deny, the other is going to accuse, and it's obviously in the interest of both parties to make stuff up.
Oh, absolutely. That's why the only group I'm part of is humanity, and I'll leave it there. And those with a claim, well, state your claim, and we'll get on from there. But yeah, getting back to this whole, there was something else Tracy just posted to me, maybe get you to, haven't caught up on this, a CBC report last night from former CSIS.
Oh, no, I haven't heard this.
Said police charge, but they don't make decisions. Police don't do the thinking, he said. Well, we know that. And to mention that solutions being bottom up and lawful remedy being top down, as in grassroots merging, and the judges are shifting for solutions. So, and this is one of the things that we're starting to see a bit more of now, is a lot of people on the inside, you already said it, that are finally, they've had enough, and they realize the corruption's there, and they're getting, the ones that are getting caught, the real bad ones that are in there that are getting caught are, pulling in the rest of that group.
Yeah.
Back to your point.
Okay. They have to be embarrassed when people like me post a 2-hour audio online of RCMP in the act of stealing property and not knowing what the law actually says. When you got a cop that makes a mistake by informing me that I'm quoting American law when I talk about the Bill of Rights, because he does not know that there is a Canadian Bill of Rights, and this man has a gun and he's stealing private property. We don't need CBC to tell us these people don't know the law.
Oh no, every one that I've ever come in contact with are the most ignorant. All they have is their little flow chart of a half a dozen or a dozen, statutes that they work from, and give them a gun and they become God.
Yeah, they're trained to fill in paperwork, and they're also trained to do whatever counsel tells them. They always phone and talk to legal counsel, which is a bar lawyer. So it's the bar rats that are instructing these people to do all this. And of course, the cop is never going to tell you what bar rat is responsible for giving him the advice to arrest you or saying it's okay, because that would be a career end for him.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Right. So they're covering up for the bar lawyers and the law society members that are the ones behind the scenes directing the cops to do all this to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, they're trained dogs. Woof woof, go fetch a car.
That's all they are. And by the way, Dave Williams, the RCMP from British Columbia, you are more than welcome to give me my truck back anytime you want, in exchange for me ceasing to ridicule and mock you on the internet.
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking that they stole my car and my truck as well as my house, right? So I don't have a problem with using that as there's the proof in the pudding, guys.
Yep.
Any questions? You guys are thieves.
Yep.
You're working for a master for literal peanuts, and you think you're the one in charge, you moron.
And you're putting yourself at personal financial liability when you do it, because you are liable in your private capacity.
Do you know what's really funny about this whole thing, Dean? Is the information we have could set all those low levels free. Mortgages, banks, all of it. We have the information to tear the whole house down. And the only thing that's perpetuating this problem are the idiots, the useful idiots, Deputy Donuts, whatever you want to call them. I love that. Thank you, Peter. That are thinking I'm just doing my job. Well, you don't know what your fucking job is, bud.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not doing your job, because if you were doing it, you'd know that you're breaking the law right now.
And you'd be arresting the very, very bankers and lawyers and judges and all the other entities that are telling you to do this. So, by omission or commission of a crime, you're guilty, and you're the one aiding and abetting in their fraud. So that makes you, whether you're driving the getaway car or pointing the gun at the teller, you're still involved and you're still completely 100% complicit.
Yes.
It's how it works.
And
they love to remind us that ignorance is not an excuse, and I could not agree more.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at a website. Go ahead, Tony. I'm going to pull up this website from Dorset Police, no less, of what they were terming domestic violence, and all I could see in it was this perfect mirror of every cop I've ever come into contact with. So go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I was just saying, if these guys knew the reality of what the depth of the information that we bring, the truth about the medicines, the vitamins, minerals, the cures that we've got for all these different ailments, knew how dangerous the stuff in vaccines was for kids and stuff like this. And they knew the fact that we could have free energy, free travel. Do you know what I'm saying? The magnitude of this information that we bring to you, the people, if they had any clue about any of this and how they'd been tricked, and to the degree that we've all been tricked, and what they plan to do with people in the future, they wouldn't be doing it. They'd be running 100 million miles an hour in the opposite direction. Going, oh my effing God, I had no idea. And that's right. You don't have any idea until you've looked. You need to start paying attention to the information we're sharing here. We're trying to help you. We're trying to help your children. We're trying to help your great-grandchildren and the rest of it. We're just trying to help, guys. Listen to us, please.
I'm looking forward to the day, and it's coming very soon. Looking forward to the day where all these entities that came at me and did what they did are going to come up to me and say, okay, really sorry I didn't know, and that's fine, no problem. I know that. All we've been trying to do is wake you up. And I gave all the information you needed if you'd have done a little bit of homework, but you were too busy getting your peanut paycheck and your whole I'm God ego thing getting fed to you. So you were a little distracted. But here we have now the means to tear all this control down so that we can all be free. And really, I'm sure you would have better things to do with your time in terms of creation versus going out chasing cars like a branded dog with your little dog tags and your shiny badge and all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, I think one thing everybody has to keep in mind is, and I like to be forward planning, is that it's inevitable that that the people are going to wake up to a certain degree. This is going to come apart. They're going to have to backtrack a little ways, like they have several times throughout history, where they retreat a little bit, they wait for everybody to calm down a little bit, and then they just come back. And they do more, and they push harder. That's what they do. I think one of the things, that, and everyone seems to be avoiding this topic, is getting something together that replaces what's there now to make sure that these people don't come back again, so that we have something new of our own this time, where we're educating people against these very scams to make sure that future generations cannot fall for them because they're made aware of them. It's our own new thing. So it's like after the battle, there's a couple of guys standing around going, "Well, that was fun," and there's just nothing but dead bodies all around them. Well, what do they do now? So there should be something for people to do. In fact, that would probably help people leave the system sooner if they knew there was something else out there
to go to. And one of the things, just to back you up on that, absolutely, what I'm seeing more and more and more are people that are already in that doing solution, not thinking about it, but actually doing it and changing their own communities around them. So this trend, you're absolutely right. We cannot fall for the same trap again. And I tell you, there's going to be a whole lot of rewriting of the history books and everything else. We got to get the control of the school books out of defense contractors like Rand from Rand McNally that are writing the history books the way they see it, the way they want it. So it's I totally agree with you. We got to give people, and there's, like I said, a lot of people are already on that solution trail, but give them something to go to. Prime example, like after the Civil War in the U.S., I was part of a debate team that was we had to debate pro-slavery. And one of the things that I uncovered going from the angle that I loathed the most was that right after, the slaves are freed, 80% or more returned to the plantations because they had nowhere else to go. So there's an historical fact for you, Dean, to back up everything you just said.
It's the problem is they keep subverting this stuff. They get involved in it, and I was just commenting on this the other day. I said, isn't it interesting that every new group I've heard of lately, or every new court matter that's coming up, and there's another one here in Canada I just heard about the other day, without getting too specific, where apparently a group of lawyers are surrendering their bar cards, and they want everybody to donate money to raise money to lead the charge in a lawsuit that's going to change the face of Canada, to expose the fact that the CRA or you don't have to file income tax returns or something like that. I really don't know. I did pay attention. I started laughing. I'm like, okay, there's one with lawyers leading it. There's another couple of groups out there that are gaining traction right now with more lawyers involved in it, where same thing. Oh, well, we're going to legitimize this because the lawyer leading our group has surrendered their bar card or something else like that. And it's like, okay, what happened to the Tea Party movement in the United States? Didn't the politicians basically hijack it?
Got co-opted, absolutely.
Got co-opted.
Just like opt. Co-opt in. No thanks. Lawyer leading that charge. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, if you were part of the group that was in the control state, you have lost any sense of leadership role in the freedom, because if you were part of the problem knowingly, regardless of how long, sorry, you gave up your right. No, we'll take it from there. Thanks very much. And I'm glad you gave up your bar card. Now go and convince your fucking cronies to do the same, and let us get back to doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I have no reason to believe that any of those individuals had a change of heart and now want to serve humanity. because they actually can't anyways, because of the types of oaths they made when they were called to the bar. They are not allowed to ever discuss any of that kind of stuff, especially if they've been disbarred or they just leave the practice. We just spoke about this morning. They have oaths that are in place that worse things happen. Like he was talking this morning about a lawyer who had his house bulldozed, and they were starting to destroy the rest of his life. You're told to shut up or they will kill you. So that means that if that's not happening to you, that means you're probably part of some deeper plan to make sure that they got lawyers heading up these movements now for controlled opposition. Be very wary of that. Anybody that claims that they're going to solve everything for you, you just need to go back to sleep and turn on the TV and don't worry about it because we filed a form and you're all safe now. You should question that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Oh no, don't worry about it, guys. We already took care of it. No, it's all good. Just go back to what you're doing. Nothing to see here. But we've taken care of the whole problem now. You know, there's a problem there.
Just like when the ships turn up, and they all turn up in these incredible UFOs, and it's, oh, it's all right, they're all here to come and save us. It's like, no thanks.
No, I'm good. I'll stick with Gaia, thanks. I'm good here.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I got things to do here. I'm good.
Yep. Well, I want to remind everybody again, and I think I've been pretty adamant about this, and so have a lot of people that we know, yourself and Santo and everybody else that we talk to. A lot of us don't like to be the guy that's out there trying to help everybody and point the way in the right direction. I want everybody to be their own savior, because that is the only person that's going to save you. Recently, and even this morning, I spoke about this on the show as well. Everybody always wants to know who the bad guy is. Well, we need an enemy, so we need to know who's behind all of this, and finding an actual, like that movie there, Undercover Brother. They want to find the man. Like there's an actual man somewhere who ultimately is behind all this kind of thing. And really, if people really want to know who's to blame, like I said this morning, you have to get up in the morning, walk into your bathroom, turn on the light, and look in the mirror.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And before you go to bed, you make sure that you can look in that mirror and say, I did everything I could today to change this world from the garbage it is.
Yeah, if you've been deceived by these people, then you allowed yourself to be deceived. Okay? And now you know that you were being deceived, which means now you have the opportunity to do something about that and start changing everything yourself at home. And then the next thing people ask is, okay, well, who do we follow and what do we do? And I tell people, oh, you want a savior. Now that you know you've been duped and you want to be saved, you want a savior. So I say, okay, on day 2, you're going to get up, you're going to walk into the bathroom, you're going to turn on the light, and you're going to look in the mirror again.
Yeah.
Because yesterday you found your true enemy, and today you're going to find your only savior. And it's you. The answer to both those questions is you. You're the only one that can change things. You're the only one that can do this. Okay? If anybody is offering to be your savior,
run.
They're trying to assume your liability. And if they're assuming your liability, that means they are now in control of you.
Yep, that's very true, and we've been saying that for a long time. No one's coming to save you guys. You're it. You got to save yourself. And here's the good news: there's a lot of us here that have the same job to do, and lo and behold, we can help each other do it, but we got to be willing to do it. That's the difference.
Oh, connected and helping one another, absolutely. But the whole idea that there's going to be when I heard about that lawsuit, I started laughing. I'm like, oh, okay, so after everybody donates their money to that, and the lawyers made a bundle of money getting a decision that there's already 100 of.
Yeah. And
how many decisions do people want that you don't have to file or pay income taxes in Canada? I've got any number of them. Why, you think that there's going to be a new one that's going to revolutionize things?
No, again, it's about taking the whole bar association legal system illusion down. We don't need them.
Actually, we don't even need to take them down. We just need to leave.
Yep.
Again, it's
well,
like
that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's the party scenario. It's if I don't like the house party I'm at, do I need to take the party down and wreck the house on my way out the door because it sucks? I'm just going to leave and go start my own party, right? And then pretty soon there are going to be 3 people in a room looking really stupid that everybody on the planet happens to also hate at this point now. So, yeah, it's the whole getting your own thing going now. They've created this entire thing for their benefit, so why should we not be creating something for our benefit?
Oh, granted, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
No, totally. No, you're completely right, Dean. Somebody was actually mentioning this Bitcoin thing in the chat room as well, so I wanted to sort of like draw some attention to that. I understand Bitcoin got hacked recently as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
Nothing is safe if it's online. I'm sorry. Credits on a computer and credits down at the bank are one and the same thing. If the internet goes down or the bank doesn't open its doors, there's one thing that is a result of both those circumstances. You're fucked.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah, and that's exactly how we put it on this show. That's exactly how. That's exactly how we put it. You know, what's Buddy's name from Trends Institute?
Gerald Salente.
Yeah, Gerald Salente. There was a beautiful little interview there, about half an hour long. I don't watch Gerald too often because he's a bit too angry for my liking, but you know, it was funny. This is going back into and of course silver, gold, and all that stuff. That was my area. That's the markets and stuff. That was my hobby. I just loved that game, watching it and knowing what was going to happen. And then he comes out back in 2008, or I think that was when, or 2009, MF Global went down.
Yep.
And took $150,000 of his, and well, here's the guy talking about if it's not real and it's not in your hand, you don't own it, and yet he's got $150,000 sitting in paper because in an allocated account, which in their terms means it is a guaranteed account. Yeah, well, there's your guarantee, Gerald. But he did a beautiful breakdown of the quote Jesus story, unquote. You know, here's Jesus walking into the temple and turned over all the money lenders' tables and basically trashed the church, right? And what happened to him shortly after that? This is what we're doing. We're going into the churches and the banks and whatever you want to call it, the old world order. And what did they do to the guy? They put him on trial and then they crucified him. Like, what more do you guys need? You know, in a very... He did it so well. If you get a chance, I'm going to see if I can dig up that link again. Well worth 20-25 minutes to watch, because it was the first time I'd ever seen Gerald come out with beautiful truth, not just stating some facts. It was a beautiful way he had put it, and I'm going, yeah, about time you finally woke up and got.
Yep. Well, he should have listened to his own advice. He lost some money, he learned his lesson, and now he's telling everybody, do not give these people your money.
Yep. Good hacked. Sound like I got hacked there. Still on?
Yeah, you did. You got silenced for a moment.
Yeah, okay. Getting back to the banks, if you're worried about your money in the bank, then why is it there?
Yeah.
If you're worried about a gas can sitting too close to a fire, what do? You move the fire or you move the gas can. Typically, it's easier and safer to move the gas can. So
keeping your money in a bank for safekeeping is like putting a cake at a Weight Watchers convention for protection.
Exactly, and it ain't going to happen because everything that every bit of debt that you put into the bank, cash is debt. You put it in the bank, you're loaning the bank money, and you know what happens if you lend somebody money and they don't give it back to you. I mean, what is it? Buyer beware. How about lender beware?
These are money junkies with zero accountability, and you are entrusting them with your money. That's a great idea. So no, we're highly advising people get all of their investments, money, everything out of banks, and put it into real property. And that's all part of the solution stuff that we got going on the forum there that I haven't really got into much yet on the forum that we'll all be chatting about here soon. But again, it's geez.
Well, you're absolutely right. Look what the banks did. They convinced everyone to use pieces of paper fiction debt notes, and what did they turn it into? Real property.
There you go.
Now it's time to turn those tables and maybe do what the banks have been doing and stop feeding them the nonsense.
Well, stop feeding their system. 2 years ago I was telling people stop filling out all these forms, like all these UCC things, all these other documents that do nothing but give more energy and more life to their system. Stop filling all that stuff out. I had a friend who told me years ago, he said, if you just got everybody on the planet to not sign a document for one day, this entire system would shut down.
It would be over.
Over. That'll never happen, but we can do the next best thing. We can slowly, death of 1,000 cuts, we can slowly start to take all the energy out of their system and put it into our own and build our own new thing.
Yeah. And again, I will never say never with regard to that will never happen. It's going to. It's this system as it is coming down. It's done. It is finished. It is archaic. It is slavery. And the people have had enough. And even the ones that aren't even awake right now, they'll end up turning around going, well, wow, what happened? And this is great. Yeah, well, you know what? Yeah, some of us got a little bit busy, and I'm glad that you're happy with it because that was the world that we saw, you know?
Well, the generation that, like my father, who was the RSPs, retirement savings stuff, pension, investments in Wall Street, all that kind of shit, that's all starting to go away now, and we're confronted with a whole new generation of people who are complete cynics, don't trust anything or anybody, and are so completely fed up that they just don't care anymore anyways. And that is absolutely wonderful. How sad is that things have to be so bad
before people wake up?
Before that's a good thing.
I know.
It's a good thing that everybody's just so cynical and non-trusting that you can't trust anybody on this planet anymore. And it's a good thing compared to what we got right now.
Oh yeah, and I found that web page. So here, imagine yourself. We've heard all the stories. Imagine a typical pull over at the side of the road, right? Okay, so we'll call it an incident, right? So here we go. This is a new definition came into effect nationwide Sunday the 31st of March 2013. So this is changes to definition of domestic violence. Tell me if this doesn't ring a bell with anybody. Any incident or pattern of incidents of controlling, coercive or threatening behavior, violence or abuse between those aged 16 or over who are or have been intimate partners of family members regardless of gender or sexuality. We'll just say humans there, okay? This can encompass but is not limited to the following types of abuse, right? Controlling behavior is a range of acts designed to make a person subordinate and or dependent by isolating them from sources of support, exploiting their resources and capacities for personal gain, depriving them of the means needed for independence, resistance and escape, and regulating their everyday behavior. Coercive behavior is an act or a pattern of acts of assault, threats, humiliation, intimidation, or other abuse that is used to harm, punish, or frighten their victim. I'm thinking maybe the cops might want to start taking their own fucking law into consideration when they're pulling people over, because that's exactly everything they do. Exactly. I saw that as a perfect mirror.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, you know, you just got to change domestic violence to police violence, and you've got it covered. You know,
laws, regulations, permits, warrants. You know, all this shit. Same thing.
You know, it's like. This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But here they are outlining what everything that they're doing to the everyday people, and I'd say that's something they might want to take into consideration the next time they pull someone over. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah. Say at least kiss me before you're about to fuck me over, so I can claim a domestic dispute.
Yeah, exactly. Or hand over some condoms, do whatever. Actually, you could probably turn it into a domestic violence by throwing a couple of condoms in the back of the cop car. Well, he wanted to fuck me. There's the condoms. I guess it's an intimate relationship he was looking for. This is domestic violence.
Yeah, I didn't want to get a mental STD from this individual.
Exactly. Oh, man. But, there it is in a nutshell. Like, that's right. That is something that was put out by the cops. Are you kidding?
Let alone entrapment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't occur to them how hypocritical that they are, and that's actually, no one ever does. They're never able to actually see the actions that they're doing as being defined by the thing, right? The failing in human logic.
Oh, absolutely. It's just if it wasn't so harming to people, it would be laughable, and it actually is laughable. So I'm getting tagged here for. Okay, I wasn't sure what the post was for you to elaborate on, but anyway, we have some callers. You want to take some callers?
I'm game for anything.
Okay, because we can kind of like it nice and wide open on especially Sunday night. Now let me just go to the board here. Let's bring some people in. Okay, all the ones. 111, area code 111. Okay, questions or comments? Your line is open. Hello? Caller area code 111. I don't know how you get a number like this to come up. It's pretty cool. All the ones. Literally. 111, 111, 1111.
Actually, it was probably a Skype call or what's the internet phone thing that they've got, the Magic Jack?
Oh, yeah, it could be a Magic Jack. Yeah, okay.
They might not even know what their number is if they're calling in from a strange source like that.
Oh, okay. Well, the line is open on that one. I know. I'll put that back and hold. And I got area code 661. Opening the line up there. If you have any questions or comments, you want to jump in. Area code 661. First two numbers 74. No questions or comments? Everyone's just like totally enthralled tonight, Dean. It's beautiful. Okay, one more. Area code 401. 401. Are you there? Questions or comments? Wow, everyone's just speechless tonight. This is awesome. I'm kidding. No.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. How's it going?
Oh, I don't know. When you said domestic, it reminded me of family court and the lawyers.
Oh yeah, well we can go all over that one. That's
unbelievable. I was just.
Isn't that the first rule of war? Accuse your adversary of what you do.
I'm sorry?
Isn't that the first war? Always accuse your adversary of what you do.
He broke up.
Okay, first rule of war: accuse the adversary of what you do.
That's why they're always doing this stuff to us.
Mm-hmm.
They accuse us of doing everything that they're doing.
Oh
exactly.
Yeah. You just twist it and put it back on them, and that's the exact same thing that they're doing. It's reverse psychology. It's the sickest thing I've ever seen.
Well, they can't look at their own mirrors. That's why we have to fix ourselves. And what you have with people that are finding the truth, that they're finally taking they've been standing on the wrong side of the looking glass, and decided to go, hey, I'm going to look at me first. I'm going to see what's wrong with me, and I'm going to fix me. And guess what? Everything else around you starts to fix as a net result, because you become a bit of a beacon for others, right? So, and these guys definitely cannot look in their own mirror. But here's the thing: they don't have a choice anymore, because those mirrors are being turned on them. That's what I say. The best thing that we can do collectively is to expose. Bring it out into the open.
Katie, it's the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, let me tell you.
Oh, I know. It's not easy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I never thought I would have to, the other night when I was following that state police car, I just thought that he was going to do the speed limit, and I had the lady in the back was, you know what I mean? And she's looking out the back window. It was like a cartoon, and he takes off, and he was doing 80 miles an hour, and then I thought to myself, he probably called a car, to catch me speeding so he could actually take off with her. And it was just it was like so tricky, and then I'm like, holy cow, I had to back off because I didn't want to get stopped for speeding. And then,
I hope you took down license plate number.
Huh?
I hope you took down license plate number. You report them for dangerous driving and speeding. Oh, yeah. I guess he's above the law then.
Well, he's only like 20, and he's only 20 and a state cop, and he that little bastard shouldn't have a gun. That's like, I just couldn't believe how old. I found out how old he was.
Well, that's the thing that
Oh, that's so scary for me.
Yeah, when they're recruiting kids that have not got any life experience whatsoever, give them the power of God, a 9mm penis extension, a taser, a club, and an attitude that they already had to begin with, because they're generally jarheads at that age. I know we were all 21. I think the mandatory minimum age for anyone in that profession, if it's going to be run properly, should be 40. And by the way, you don't really have to worry about physical fitness at that age, because you're still really in your prime, and quite frankly, your brain is a whole lot better in terms of life experience, and you'd be a little less apt to be the goons that they seem to have out there. And the ones that you'll see that have been in, got in there at 20 and are now 40, they're the worst.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The drinking age in the United States is 21?
21, yeah, in the States.
21.
So apparently, you're not mature enough to make the decision as to whether you should be drinking when you're 20 years in the United States.
Yeah, but they can give you a gun.
but they'll give you a gun and make you a state trooper.
That's what I'm like. I'm all set with this state. I'm leaving. I mean, I've had enough. And then when I got over to the barracks, he wouldn't show his little goddamn face, little bastard. He had two big guys come out and talk to me.
Yeah, they're cowards. That's what they are. They race back to mama, i.e., the precinct, and then they get to hide behind all their buddies. They hide. That's all they do. They're a bunch of cowards that are in a group mentality. That it's gang. It's just a gang. I mean, I remember
it is.
when they came to my house, there was at least 15 of them, and it was a fucking home invasion by a gang of kids. I guarantee you there wasn't anyone older than 25. And you get that many armed thugs at your fucking door. Of course, I'm going to be, and I'm always peaceful, believe that or not, but that's just the way I handle it. I'd rather use my brain than, I calculate the odds. You're not going to get anywhere screaming and punching, right? So. Right,
that's what I did too. I was nice and polite and asked, questions about her and who transported her, and then it didn't dawn on me until after I was in my car coming home in the middle of the night in the woods. The back roads, and I was like, oh, my Lord, oh, my God. And then they transferred her from there to the adult correctional center in the middle of the night.
And this was all over what?
Let me see. It was a misdemeanor.
It wasn't attempted murder or kidnapping?
No!
Yeah. Note my sarcasm.
And they looked so surprised that I showed up.
Yeah,
I wasn't supposed to show up. And then they transported her in the middle of the night, and it's just, and the story just gets it's so sick. My ex-husband did the intake. Well, he said it was my ex-husband. My ex-husband is a pedophile, and he used to work for the correctional facility up there. And the person told this woman that it was, so-and-so. And she just were her eyes, and then they pricked her finger, and they put her into segregation. And then they brought her into the court the next morning, and the judge was just staring straight and, not even, looking at anybody or anything. And it was a $5,000 bond, no case number on her papers, and she didn't pay a thing, and they just went and released her. And then her sister called the ACI, and the woman told her there that we have her, and nobody can see her for 2 weeks. And she was with me, out.
All right. Maybe Dean.
You can't get any more gaslighting than that.
No, totally, Gloria. Totally, I get it. Totally. Going back to Dean. We understand that there are shit piles of problems out there, and this, and I don't want not to make less of it. I really don't want to dwell on it. This is about solutions, and
right.
Ask Dean how criminal it is to go out and get lettuce for tacos on a Saturday night, and he'll tell you all about it.
It's pretty criminal. I mean, I almost wish I'd had the hunkering for some cocaine instead, because then at least it probably would have been those cops selling it to me.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Bottom line is we know we have the problems, and we can dwell on those fucking problems all day long until we're blue in the face. One of the things that I know. Let's get into the solution base, because I'm
right.
really getting bummed out with this shit. And it's not where I like to be. This is about creating solutions. So let's take it into that vein instead. All right. We know we got a criminal element. Okay. We know that there's going to be co-opt attempts, COINTELPRO, all over the place. This is why we are finally anonymous leaders, if you will, where there's no one that is particularly leading. But what we're doing now is coming together collectively, where we have, people with different experiences that have found different things, clues, if you will, chinks in the armor. And this is what I want to get focused on. And, the things that Dean did in his own situation, I like for him to go over some of that, because I haven't really had a chance to get into any of that with him. I know a bit of what happened and what went on, but I'd really like him to share some of that with you guys. This is about building. It's not about building hope. Hope is for the ill-prepared. What we're doing here is we're rebuilding our own armor. We're at a point now where we've had enough, and we're looking for solutions. And where do we go from there?
I'm just so grateful that there is a forum out there that other people are experiencing these experiences, because you just feel like this is just happening to you. And I'm just so grateful for you, Katie, and everybody else. It's like, I'm not grateful that it happened to everybody else, but we have a solution. We can talk about it, but it's just bizarre.
Oh, yeah, no, again, you brought that up the other night, and, you say bizarre, but to me it's not. This is standard operating procedure for these guys. So what has got to happen is these stories have got to get out so that people go, what? First thing that people can start doing, and I've said this time and time again, we're dealing with the whore of Babylon here, commerce, and that's the only thing that keeps everything clicking and humming and moving along. A cop without a paycheck isn't a cop for long. Savvy? A bank without depositors isn't a bank for long. Savvy? Credit cards not being used become what they are, plastic. Same with debit cards. Same with all these other little conveniences that they've sold you into. I've talked about OnStar. They'll sell you as, well, if you ever lock your keys in your car, we can, all you have to do is call us and we'll open it via satellite. But they don't bring up the fact that if, for any reason they want to stop your car in the middle of the highway because, some cop wants to, bust you or steal shit from you, that they can do the same thing and turn your engine off. They don't talk about that. So what we have to start doing is getting away from being deceived by these so-called conveniences and start rebuilding our communities without them.
That I agree with, and actually it's where I'll comment here on being prompted here to comment on commerce a little bit and the money especially. And let me start with how I used to address the concerns people used to raise with me about the fact that all money is fiat and it's worthless. So when I was doing a couple of my conferences 2 years ago, when I first started traveling, going to a lot of places, and I would start off by telling people, okay, so let me get some background here for everybody. Who here knows that money is fiat? And they're all like, yeah, it's fiat. And I said, okay, so who here knows that money is completely worthless? Yeah, it's worthless. I say, okay, everybody, pull out your wallets and let's see that worthless paper. And people pull out their worthless paper, and I'd say, okay, so it's completely worthless, right? Yeah, it's not backed by gold. I said, okay, good. I'm going to send around a collection hat. I want everybody to put your money in it.
Oh, yeah, I knew exactly where you're going there. And
how much money do you think they were willing to give me of their now worthless money? How much do you think they were willing to hand over to me?
Oh, they wouldn't give you a dime.
Then I guess it's not that worthless, is it?
Well, again, it's money is only an idea backed by confidence that you can exchange it with someone else, and what we have to do is break that illusion.
Well, I gotta say, I actually have no problem with this right now. I mean, at some point in the future, we may be able to bring in maybe a new currency of our own, but I got no problem with using foreign currency, and that's what I consider, right? The mere idea that statutes would apply in a transaction simply because you're using a certain type of money is lunacy. That's like saying that China, because it's holding trillions of dollars of American currency in reserve, must now obey American law. That's just an absolute absurdity. And I would like to get people away, especially temporarily, because it's something that's so far out of our ability to even have any effect on right now, that just the use of the money is like evil, or the money itself is evil. And because you just pointed out yourself, money is just a tool. It's just something to use. That's it. And I don't consider it to be evil. Again, if I use $10 to buy a homeless person lunch, is money evil?
No, again, it's about intent, and this is where we always come back to with me.
It's all intent, right? And you're a contractor, former contractor. Money is no different than a hammer. I can build a house with a hammer, or I can smash somebody's head in with a hammer. It doesn't make the hammer inherently good or evil. It's just a tool. Now, unfortunately, if you want to get things done in the commercial world, and you don't want a person or you don't want commerce, you're going to have some fundamental problems in getting anything accomplished at first. The same way that if I showed up on my job site and said, you know what, damn that hammer, I'm not using my hammer today. I'm going to build this house and I'm going to do it by hand. Well, how far am I going to get, and how efficient am I going to be if I'm trying to push nails into the wood with my thumbs?
Oh yeah, not very. You'd definitely build up some serious calluses, and
Oh yeah.
you'd make a great bass player if it was your right hand you were using.
Exactly. So if we want to effect change short term and be more efficient, we should actually just start using money properly, doing proper things with it. Vote with your dollar. Stop supporting economies, industries, and businesses that are doing everything that we don't like.
Yes.
So stop spending. Pull your money out of the bank. Stop spending money on crap. And again, I talked about this morning. Cancel your cable bill and your satellite TV, because you're basically allowing their brainwashing into your home. So you're listening to people like us, but then you're turning on the Sunday night TV and you're erasing everything you learn because they're brainwashing you with all the TV you're watching. So that's counterproductive, number one. And it supports them, it finances them to put out more propaganda and fight us, number two, when that money could go into something better. Like, I get pissed off when people bitch about my phone being $15 a month, but they pay for satellite TV, right? It's like, are you kidding me? Okay, so that's another problem.
Yep. Okay, sound's gone out. Can you hear me, guys? Have we lost Kate? And question out there to the chat room. Can you hear me? Excellent.
I can hear you.
Beautiful. Okay. So we seem to have lost Kate and Dean there for a moment. Are you back? Okay. Where for a second? That's better. You're back again. No? Okay.
I'm here still.
Okay, Bob. Yeah, just basically what Dean was saying about tools. It's like I saw a post the other day on Facebook, and it was all about this gun. And it was basically a guy actually put some shells in a shotgun and put a shotgun on the side of the porch. And he was counting he basically says, I put my shotgun on the porch, and I even put it into a wheelchair and gave it some wheels so it could get around. And it was sat there all day, and the postman came and went, and a few people went up and down the street and come back at the end of the day, and the gun had killed nobody. So it's not necessarily the gun; it's the user of the gun, and the same with a hammer, and the same with all the other tools. It's the intent behind the actual use of the tool. And I mean, that's the point. You can't knock a nail in with using your head. It's just ludicrous. So
I was going to say we're back. I'm just pulling Dean back into the call here. Yeah, we got. I heard the drop off, and I don't know where Dean was at when he was talking there. So
yep.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, we're back.
Good.
Yay, internet radio.
Yay. So what you were saying there, Tony, and then we'll get Dean back onto his thoughts, because you were talking about the hammer there.
Yeah, yep. We were just talking about there was a post the other day about a guy loaded some shells into his gun and put his gun on the side of the porch, and he put it into a wheelchair so it could get around, but it didn't actually kill anybody at the end of the day. It just sat there. So it isn't actually the gun like a tool that does the damage, is the person using it. And as you were saying, it's the intent behind that use or operation of. So that's just basically an analogy I was putting out there, backing up what you were saying. Because it's true.
And just to let you know, I believe we have Jeremiah on the call.
We do. Wonderful. Oh man, I'm so excited to have Dean on. I'm just incredibly honored, man. I'm just, you really open the doors on this incredibly, and just following trailblazers like Kate and Tony, and it's just absolutely incredible, and I'm just out of breath here. But very excited to be a part. I did have a comment to make, and I mentioned this before. My buddy right now, my best man, he's going to graduate police academy, and he's always been excited about it. And I never understood it, and especially now I don't, and we have a huge conflict of interest. He's my best friend, and he is in police academy. And he took, I think I mentioned this, but he took 15 million Scoville units to the eyeball to be able to hold mace. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So basically, I know that he's an Aries, and I know that is a huge thing. It's like, do they particularly pick these people, people that aren't that don't necessarily they don't argue authority? I mean, are these the certain aspects, and what can I do? And I just he's a hot-headed, stubborn person, and he's very materially driven. But he also has a wonderful side, and I'd love to be able to just open him up to this. He's never really been comprehending of my actions and how I go about it. And he always thinks, that it's just so weird. But that's the way to be. And he just doesn't understand that. He's very ego, materially driven. But how can I help this? Because I believe if I can... Yeah, that's where we need to enter. That's where we need to access. We need to talk to these police officers. They're brainwashed, and they don't know it. And maybe some do, but that's their issue. That's their belief. But what can I do to help him out, Dean? Thank you, sir.
I got a suggestion for that. Does anybody else want to take that first?
Well, I was just going to say I'd be grabbing that hammer that Dean's talking about and hitting him upside the fucking head. But that's just me,
No, my suggestion for that I would actually completely embrace what he wants to do and congratulate him and hold him in high esteem for wanting to serve and protect the people. And then I would help him to best do that. And that's by educating and saying, you know what, we need people like you in the force that's going to expose all the corruption going on and turn it all around on them.
I still like the hammer. No, you're right. Dean, I saw the end for a funny, so I went for it. But yeah, Dean's absolutely right. And it's about using the reverse psychology of take your enemy and embrace them and say, listen, I'm so proud of you that you're going to go in and here's some of the corruption that we've been finding, and keep your eyes open to see if you find it, because we need people like you to do that. Embrace his desire.
Yeah, because it is noble that people do want to take up that occupation. Some people are just infatuated, since they were kids. Some people want to be train conductors. Other people want to be, I don't know, some other just, absurd thing from when we were children, like a firefighter. I want to be a firefighter. When they get older, they become a firefighter. They're not even sure why. It's just a passion they have. But I would definitely not let it get in the way of your friendship. You guys may differ on some views, and big shocker, I've got family and friends that are all involved in law and even in corrections, meaning they work for jails.
And wow. I was going to say, Jeremiah, if all else fails, you still have the hammer, So
exactly. But that's when you can encourage somebody to get into that field and do the right thing when they get in there, and not become one of these guys that gets infatuated with the power and the corruption and wants to do everything that they claim that they were against when they got in. So you might even end up being an anchor for him to keep him to that.
And also, I would suggest you make sure that he's not a member of the Masonic organizations.
I believe that there's no issue there. I can rule that one out, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
so no,
remember,
it's not us against them. We actually need people like that. Like I've heard stories in the past about cops in the United Kingdom, somebody that knew a police officer that they found out about all this, and they quit the force like the next day. And I was like, no, what are you doing? No, we need you in there. Why are you quitting? Stop, bad.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, stop running away. I mean, I've shared the story of the deputy chief in the city of Guelph, Brett Eden. After 3 years, I got this from. He was in severe depression after finding out what was really going on because he'd spent years in the police, figuring he was doing exactly what your buddy's thinking he's going to be doing. And when he found out what was really going on, this guy went into extreme depression, almost suicidal. Spent 3 years, which was the minimal mandatory to get his retirement, and he left. And I'm thinking that's okay. One, I'm glad to see, that someone, woke up to that degree. But at the same time, here's the mirror. You fucking coward. You ran away, especially from a position of deputy chief. Someone that could actually, implement change. But that just also tells you how corrupt the Guelph City Police Force is, and how deeply ingrained in the Masonic and the control mechanisms that are there. I mean, it's the club, and you got to remember, my dad was in the very same Masonic building that these fucking wankers go to. I never partook of it, but it was very close to me and the people that were involved in it. So. Yeah, do the math, guys. Do the math.
If an organization is responsible for taking advantage of you, don't blame the organization. If anything, they help you learn a very valuable lesson. Absolutely. Right. So, again, that's where all the solution comes from. So I hope we got your answer there about the friend who's a cop. I've got friends, lifelong friends, like I say, involved in the court system, and they even watch the videos. And should I be encouraging that person to simply become a better individual within that system, or saying, no, you know what, dude, if you don't stop doing that, we're just not going to be friends anymore? That would be idiot. I'd be the asshole in that case. I'd be the one with very low moral character to not be accepting of that and try to help him be what he wants to be. Like I say, somebody that really is helping society and keeping the peace instead of enforcing all this shit that's out there. So a bit of a mix of positive reinforcement with, hey, look at what the real bad guys in that line of work are doing.
Yeah. Again, it's about turning the tables on those that, they'll say they want to do one thing for whatever reason, and if they don't do it, then you make them own up to it.
Yeah.
It's, again, by your actions you will be known. Every act that you... What's that?
My daughter, at the end of the semester, she just interviewed in Vermont and New Hampshire for the State Police Academy just this past week. And my heart, just like that guy was saying, it's like, but then I was thinking she has so much knowledge about what she's been through, and I think she'll be a helper, I hope to God.
Well, don't hope. Have a talk with her about it.
There you go.
I have.
Yeah. Again, same tactics, same technique. Listen, if you're going into this for the reasons that you think you're doing something good for your community, then you better stand in that, or I'm going to call you out on it.
I will.
And that's great. In that regard, I completely agree with Dean. I mean, what we need are those that are on the inside to finally understand what's going on, and instead of tucking tail and running like little cowards, stand up to them. There are some that have come out and in very high positions of power that are exposing things, and we definitely need those people as well. But what we really need are those on the inside that are finally getting woken up to stand up to their supposed masters and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm sorry. I can throw the same book at you that we throw at the everyday people to rip the money out of them. But again, you're dealing with the thin blue line and Serpico syndrome. Here's the other thing too. Look at your government officials. 75 to 85% of them are former lawyers. They're the ones writing the laws. It seems a bit stupid. Quite frankly, any government officials, not that I want any, but that's the first thing they shouldn't be. If you were in the law profession or whatever, sorry, you cannot write laws for yourselves. That's the fox looking after the hen house, and we buy into the shit by voting these morons into office. If you're a lawyer, like I'll tell you, Frank Valeriat in Guelph, fucking Smith and Valeriat law firm. I trust one of his little stooly lawyers. Need to train him a little better. Just saying. Didn't know much about the law. Well, he knew how to state case and how to, how do you put that? They're trained to regurgitate, case law. They don't understand the law at all. They don't understand the difference between right and wrong. And that's what we're focused on here.
Well, lawyers are trained in procedure only. When someone does this, you file this form, you fill out this form, you make this motion. That's all they're trained in. They have no knowledge of substance or real law. It's statutes and procedure only.
Yeah.
In case law, that's exactly the only thing they have to produce is case law. If they had to actually get into any real substance, they would lose immediately.
Absolutely.
Because case law is nothing more than a means for the Bar Association to pervert the course of justice. Because over time, you can actually completely change the meaning of a law through case law incrementally.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they've done. They've perverted it. They've changed course incrementally with case law.
And short of burning the courthouses to the ground where they belong, or turning them into homeless shelters, which would not be homeless people anymore, would be great.
Yep.
We just gotta, hate the pun or the saying, stick to our guns.
You'll know this one as a contractor. Now, when you're laying out your stud centers for a wall, do you always measure back to the same starting point, or do you measure from each new stud location?
It depends on what's going on. Most of my stuff was done in renovations, but with standard layouts, I would always go back to the original stud.
Always go back to the original stud. Now, what case law is a series. It's remeasuring from every stud. Well, this case law says this, so this decision is not much more of a stretch from that one. And then 10 years later, well, based on that case law, this decision's not much more of a stretch than that one, right? So there's a little stretch every case law is made based on old case law. Now, the equivalent to that in framing
is you went from a 12-inch OC to a 24-inch OC over the.
Yeah, if you lose a 1/16th of an inch on every measurement, by the time you get 16 studs further down the wall, you are now 1 inch out on your wall. And if your wall is 1 inch out, your wall is not plumb, which means your building is not straight, and it will fall down.
Fall down, go boom.
Exactly. Now, again, there's a reason that that Jesus was a carpenter. He understood framing principles, okay? This is no different from the law. The minute the law if it's a 16th out on one decision, by the time you get 16 decisions down the road, it's going to be an inch out. And you're not even talking about the same law anymore. It's a completely new fabrication, all incrementally done. That's the purpose of case law. So, no, I don't. Fuck you and your case law. Let's go back to the original law. And that's what Tracy will appreciate that one. Okay, going back to the same starting point, always in construction, always. Even by the time I'm up to my roof, I'm measuring back to the same corner that I lay out my concrete foundation measurements on. Always.
Oh, there's someone that knows how to build a square and plumb building.
That square. Exactly. And if it's not square, then it isn't right. If it's not right, it's not just. And what is the definition of lawful? Something that is right and just. You can't have that happen if you're running on nothing more than case law for 700 years. That's shit.
Yeah, that's I was going to say that's one of the reasons why, through my research, I always go way back in history to find the sources of the concepts and
That's a maxim of law, that when there's two conflicting or opposing seeming laws, that the older and more well-established to be correct. True, that's even a construction term again, right? Is the wall true? That means is it straight?
Yeah.
Okay? This isn't fucking hard.
It's not rocket science. You're not building a rocket, you're building a wall.
There you go. So that's what they always talk about, framing laws. I mean, it's all relevant. It's the same thing. People have to just realize that. A lot of people want to know where I get my laws from. Building a wall.
Yeah.
It's the same for building a wall as it is for building a law. Shit,
Yeah.
well, that's even the same word for the verb.
Well, yeah, and speaking of rockets too, if your gyro is out 1 millimeter at launch, over 4,000 or 5,000 miles, the target you were intending to hit might be the wrong one, guaranteed.
Yep.
Again, it's all variances of degree here, and that what you've been talking about is so pristine to get people to understand that what we're dealing with is such a corrupt and bastardized version of what used to be deemed true and just.
Yep. I'm reading some of the comments actually on my chat room right now, on my forum. I guess some people are listening right now, and yeah, I'm loving the comments that are on there. So I love the plate cable as well. But that's all this is. I mentioned this morning. That people want to know where to learn law, and I said, right now is a bad time in Manitoba, but in another 2 months, just take your lawn chair outside and go sit. You want to learn law? Go sit in the woods and observe.
Yep.
And look at nature, because that's where all law derived from. Observing things in nature. That's why it's called natural law. You can't get a better source for learning law.
Yeah, and you get some quiet time. You get a chance to actually discover yourself instead of being distracted. And I do want to go back to the TV thing, because this is one of my pet peeves. There was, I guess, a group established about, no more TV tax. BBC, you got to pay a TV license. Tony, you can back me up on this. At least it was that way when I was there. You actually had to buy a license for your TV so that you could tune in, and if they actually have vans made up with scanners and radar and everything else to go around neighborhoods looking for people that have a TV signal but with no license registered to that address, and they fine or steal TVs or whatever, right? And the first thing I'm thinking of is, okay, you're claiming to be awake and you want to get rid of this tax. Well, let me really wake you up and say, why do you got a TV? Why are you paying? Never mind paying for a license to watch, advertising on television, programming. Just get rid of the whole thing altogether. There's your problem solved.
Yeah. And in the UK, where apparently you have to TV, which I think such an absurd notion. When I first heard it, I thought they were making up. That's beyond idiocy. Anybody actually paying a TV tax head check, just the right to own a TV and even watch cable on top of the cable bills. I couldn't even believe that. But they're getting so desperate for customers now, because I think a lot of people had enough. I had a friend recently who hasn't had cable for more than a year or so. So they called in, they got the internet hooked up. I was like, so don't you want a cable package? And they're like, no, I just want internet. Well, yeah, but we're prepared to offer some pretty good deals right now. And he's like, no, I don't want TV. I just want the internet. And they kept papers, and it was not in TV. But the cable company ended up coming right down to $30 a month, unlimited. Imagine you had access to for $30 a month.
Yeah, it's just about getting the signals and getting the Nielsen ratings.
They need people so bad. They need revenue right now. Because their advertisers are pulling out, paying less money. People are turning off the TVs. These giant cable companies that were dependent upon always never-ending increasing revenues that they've taken out loans against and hypothecated what their revenues are going to be 10 years down the road. They are destroyed by people doing simple things like canceling their cable bill.
Yeah,
okay.
And a story.
Now, this individual, after 2 months of having this unlimited cable bill, hasn't watched TV once. And any time that they have, there was nothing on anyways. So they're calling back down to cancel anyways. They made sure that there was no contract. They said, okay, fine, $30 a month, but I want to be able to cancel anytime. That means no contract. And they didn't like that at first either. They really wanted to get a contract out of people, but they were just adamant. They said, no, if you want a contract, I won't. I don't care if it's $5. I don't want it. So they're going to cancel anyways because it's all garbage. Yeah,
and something else, and this is the key of it all. If people are willing to accept this, and this is going to be a tough thing for a lot of people, we can stop this tomorrow. Just stop signing anything. Period. Yep. Nothing. Nada.
Yeah.
Nothing.
For people that haven't taken the plunge yet to no more cable TV, I promise you, within 1 month, you're going to actually question yourself as to how you ever could have enjoyed watching that puke.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't have TV for about 7 or 8. Well, it'd be more than that now. I think I got rid of it in 2000.
Yep.
You know.
You were years ahead of me. I think it was about 2002. It's been 10 years. Canceled all my cable.
Oh, here's the funny thing too. Because we had the internet coming in through cable. That's all we wanted was the internet, and didn't take any cable TV or anything like that. Nothing whatsoever. And then just out of happenstance of that, well, because I was around the back and where they have the junction box, I guess the guy had hooked it up, didn't bother to put a new keeper in, and went around because someone had told me what you need to do is for those that have. I'm not even going to say what to do because I don't want anyone watching that shit. But the actual blocker hadn't been installed, so I went in the house and plugged in. We didn't. And then one day I just said, "Whoa, that's kind of weird." So I went down and checked and threw the cable on the wall and threw it on the TV, and sure enough, we had every fucking channel you could imagine. And again, it's a joke. It's puke. It's garbage. The only reason we actually had a screen in the house was I like picking up DVDs for research, because Hollywood for me is one of the best research tools I've ever had, because they love bragging about what they're going to do.
Yeah, I like. I'm not perfect. I like my movies.
Oh, I do.
Movies in my whole life. I still love putting on a movie. I got my TV and my little media center at home, kind of thing. That I like to listen to my Gordon Lightfoot on and put on a movie. I think I actually watched like the original Star Wars just this last weekend. I put on. I still love that kind of stuff, but I'm actually getting out of it more and more now. I don't watch many movies as much as I used to, and I don't even know if I really enjoy them anymore at all because thinking about the 2 hours I just wasted that I could have been doing on my forum or in the shop building something or at work, but sometimes you really just need to actually sit down and vacate for a while.
Oh, to be entertained. And here's the thing, and this is how I've always looked at movies. There's 2 ways to watch a movie. Thus, I always liked getting DVDs. I didn't go to the movies often because you can't watch it again. Because the first time I watch a movie, well, usually I'm looking at it differently anyway, but it's in an attempt to be entertained, and then after that, it's all about education and ripping and stripping it apart to see what clues are in it. And like I said, I found some of my best research in Hollywood.
Yep. Oh, actually, it's just funny. People are talking about commercials right now on the on my forum and on the chat thing here. And I was just at somebody's house the other night, and they were watching something on TV, and I was shocked. I could not believe that every once in a while they actually did manage to interrupt the commercials for part of the program.
Yeah, isn't that the truth, eh?
It was absolutely sickening. I remember watching TV as a kid, and there was commercials, but holy shit!
Well, you look at a half-hour episode on television is 21 minutes. 9 minutes of commercials.
I would be shocked if it even was 21 minutes, Kate. I'm sorry. I think that's bullshit. I'm thinking 15 minutes of actual episode.
I'm going back to older episodes, so things like HR Puff and stuff, and you go to YouTube and they have the full episode there, and it's 21 minutes, 22 minutes.
I want somebody to find out how much of actual TV show there is. Not that I even care in the first place, but I could not believe it. So I was like, wow, I don't watch TV as it is, and just even the program itself is awful. But I think they time the commercials now, too, to have the commercials on at the same time on every channel, so you can't even flick to another station while you're waiting for the crap to end.
That's exactly what they do. And something else, too, for people that have televisions and are, hooked into cable or whatever, while your TV is plugged in, it's still generating carrier waves.
Yes.
These are programs. And they're running at a frequency that you're not aware of, So, when you say your TV's off, well, no, you've got the fan on option, which means the actual TV is still draining power from the wall, just not to light up the screen. That's it. And it's still generating carrier waves. And maybe Tony will jump in on that one for a sec.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's generating ELF fields, magnetic fields. It's giving out, like you said, frequencies. And, this stuff is deliberately designed to muck with your system. It's in the same way as, we've got so much stuff doing it now. You've got, everything from the phone signals to the blooming TV signals.
Yeah, on or off, you're getting programmed.
Yeah, that's right. We're all being programmed, not even knowing it, by the HARP frequencies. The HARP signal's been beamed out all over the place, It's incredible. It's just bloody everywhere.
But here's the good news. Once you become aware of these things and make the decision that they're not going to affect you, they won't. And I know it sounds incredibly simple, but that's hermetics. Mind over matter. It's like, no, sorry, can't affect me. Have a nice day, though.
I think I'm going to start allowing myself maybe one movie a week, and when I'm not watching that one movie, my TV will actually be unplugged, or I'll put it on. I'll put the plug that powers the TV and entertainment center thing, an actual breaker that I can flip right off, so no power goes to it at all.
Well, yeah, you'll notice a decrease in. We gotta love the hydro bills, right? But you'll notice an automatic decrease in that as well, because it's still drawing about 70% power.
Oh, it's unbelievable! So many things, man. I could rant on and on and on, and probably will. So.
Yeah, that's okay. That's why we have radio shows 7 nights a week, so we can rant every night. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Something else we should also point out is that all these TVs, especially the high definition TVs now, have got cameras and microphones in them that are watching you watching that.
Absolutely.
So that they can monitor you and what you're watching.
And that is true. And they're actually monitoring you for your response to the commercial that's on, to know if the ad is being effective or admitted to. That's what they're doing. They want to see that for advertising reasons. They want to see your response, or maybe watching newscasts. They want to see the response to the propaganda they're churning out about wars. Is it positive? Are you believing the shit that they're now? They're actually doing this now. That's completely correct.
Absolutely. And just bringing Kelly into the call. She had a question or a comment. Kelly, are you there? Kelly. It's still ringing. Sorry, you can't see it. They shouldn't use one white. It doesn't work very well.
No worries. Well, until you get an answer there, here's something else I wanted to touch on. I had the unfortunate incident the other day. Somebody to a music video. Now, I don't know how many people this did. I'd never really heard of this person before, but does anybody know who Drake is?
What was that again, Dean? You broke up.
Does anybody know who Drake is?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Fearon. No, he's...
I thought it was a joke, and I started laughing, like, oh my god, that is the best parody of rap music I've seen yet. And they're like, that's like one of the most popular guys out there right now. He was called Started at the Bottom. And I was like, this is the most talentless thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're like, no, this guy's like super popular right now. Like everybody listens to this guy's stuff and watches his video. And I'm like, possibly the most ever seen in my life. And I realized we're head right now because unfortunately a lot of people think that Drake is talented. People watch the video and there's 2 lyrics to it. Interrupted once in a while by somebody shaking a piece of booty or something. And it actually makes no sense. I was watching it and still it's like, no, there's got to be something here because that was the most pointless thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was absolutely fucking terrible.
Yeah, well,
and to my mind was the movie Idiocracy. And as soon as I saw that video, I just went, holy fuck, we're actually there. We are literally watching the movie Ass right now. It's just an ass farting on screen for 2 hours. That is Drake.
Yeah, pretty much. We do have Kelly now.
There.
And I think we have Kelly now. Do we have you, Kelly?
Hi.
Yeah, you had a question or comment for Dean?
Well, I had so many comments, and then I started you're saying. I've completely forgotten what I was going to say, but I'm engrossed in what you're saying, totally. But really, everything's about abuse, and it's just me. And there's a show called EastEnders, and before it comes on, ident, BBC ident, where it just says BBC, and before the show comes on, there's like a hypnotic, a swirling. It's either a swirling or hypno, but you feel you're going into a trance. Maybe it's just me. And then there's constant TV license ads saying, we're watching you, we know where you are. And it's just, our TV is just trash. It's just real trash over here. And I get what you guys are saying. But with the people joining forces and the police, I mean, it's really hard. I've got a young friend. He's 16. He wants to join the army. He wants to shoot people up. And then got another friend who's come back from the army. Someone's a social guy, and he's totally his mind. He's actually on orders. He wants to do this. No, but it's really hard. It's really hard. It's so brainwashed by the TV.
Yeah, Kelly, you are breaking up a little bit. We are getting what you're saying for the most part. So, again, you're absolutely right. We're dealing in a culture. Finally, it's turning around, but you can see the real effects of the subculture of turning children into militants and making killing a video game. And you can talk to any of these kids that came back from Iraq or Afghanistan or what have you. That was no game. And there are individuals now that are not only scarred for this life, but quite a few lifetimes after, based on what they did in their own ignorance.
My God, you had to bring up video games. I feel another rant coming on.
Oh, good. We got 10 minutes, so you got time to rant.
Okay. I just babysat. I helped babysit on the weekend at a friend's house, and their 3 kids, who are younger, have every game system and every game for every game system. Number 1, I'm not going to even fathom how much that must have cost. But number 2, and I know these kids, and they have more fun coming out to the beach where I live to come swim, and they don't want to go home because all they got at home is video games. And they actually don't even want to play the video games, but it's almost like it's being thrust on them now because it gets them out of their parents maybe or whatnot. I don't know. But either way, if anything else has to go in the house alongside the cable, in fact, even before the cable and the satellite, it's those fucking game systems. And sell them on Kijiji now while they still are worth $5 before everybody starts selling them off. Oh my God. I'm not even going to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, or better yet, just destroy them. That way, you're not guilty by omission of causing a neighbor to become that 16-year-old wanting to go kill people. So just destroy the damn things.
Yeah, actually, I had a good rant about that this morning about the video game thing again too. It's why it came to mind, and I always laugh about that because somebody brought up Call of Duty on my forum here. And, I got friends that, and even people I don't know, that they ask me, do you game? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, you play like Call of Duty? And I'm like, no, I've got this other game that you probably wouldn't even believe it. It's called Life. And in that game, I fuck with the government and fight with cops physically and get into altercations with them in a parking lot where I might actually go to jail and have a real consequence to the end of it. It's way, way more fun than fucking any of the ones you guys play. And they're just dumbfounded by that. I'm like, yeah, you should try it sometime. It's called Life, the game of life. Everybody's all into the Game of Thrones right now as a TV show and as a book and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, again, it's the game of life. Welcome to it, buddy.
Yeah, and it is sad. It really is. So there we've given out a number of solutions already. You know, if people want to take responsibility, well, I'll tell you where the responsibility begins with you. If you've got TV, you're programming yourself, or you're letting someone else do your thinking for you, and you're getting inundated with all sorts of Whore of Babylon commercials. Video games, well, you're perpetrating the next level of, murderer, if you will. And I'll tell you, it removes a lot of, when you got kids that are really good at video games, you'll find a lot of them employed by, the military, and they're the ones flying the drones right now.
Yep.
That are off murdering people.
Well, yeah, and at what point do you realize you have a problem with your children when they're spitting on you and smacking you because you won't buy them the newest video game?
Well,
and then they can't believe when their children are 16 that they're sociopaths. Well, I did. I bought them every video game, and I gave them everything they ever could have wanted. Now look how they turned out. No shit, Sherlock. Holy fuck. Yeah, video games, TV, satellite, antidepressants, and then they wonder why their kids are fucked up.
Yeah, well, and then we wonder why the state comes and kidnaps them.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's a full circle, guys. This is, and we started off with it. We're going to end with it because what the responsibility comes back to you.
There you go. Responsibility, liability. Why are your kids fucked up? Because you're not assuming any liability. You're letting the TV, the video games, and the psychiatrists raise them.
Programming.
Guys, this young boy wants to join the army. He's a KO and another one, and his mum unplugged the box because he was up in his room for 10 days on end. When he came down, I swear. Well, basically, he came downstairs, came marching down the street, fuck you, bitch, this and that. And I've never angered. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
It's withdrawal. It's withdrawal. It's the stimulation of the brain. It's just like coffee or any other drug. You actually become severely violent when it's taken away from you.
Yeah, my son, we took it away, and we felt really cruel. We took it away, and we gave him the money for the Xbox, and I felt really bad for a long time because all his friends, he was socializing with his friends across it. But when we took it away, he sunk into this massive depression. But we stayed with it, and now he's going skateboarding. He's so much happier, and really, they are serious, and there's Illuminati symbols in them as well. And
yep,
it's all program, right? And I just got this note in from John on Facebook, and I want to share it. It pretty much sums up what we're talking about here. Just caught a little bit of it, and think, yeah, I got to read this. Anyway, thank you, John, for sharing this. This is beautiful. Dear family and friends, loved ones, and those awesome people that I've not had the pleasure of meeting yet. After many years of diligent, in-depth research and logical inquiry, I have formed an educated and rationally based opinion that one, all, or several of the following scenarios is more than likely to be proved absolutely true in the, hopefully, not too distant future. 1, I am batshit crazy, certifiably insane, and have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. 2, you are all batshit crazy, certifiably insane, and have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. 3, we are all batshit.
Brilliant.
Over and enslaved through fraudulent and deceptive methods by some very evil sons of bitches that don't give a fuck about any of us.
Okay.
What's that?
You broke up right at when you started number 3. We're all batshit crazy.
Okay, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, so 4, moving on. This is beautiful. You'll love this one. We've all been fucked over and enslaved through fraudulent and deceptive methods. Oh, did we? I think we just got bumped. No, we didn't. We're good. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right. We've all been fucked over and enslaved through fraudulent and deceptive methods by some very evil sons of bitches that don't give a fuck about any of us. 5, scenarios 1 through 4 are all true, and we are all too indoctrinated, controlled, dumbed down, and lazy to do a damn thing about it. 6, scenarios 1 through 5 are totally unacceptable to any sane, decent human being, and it is seriously time to wake up and shut these sons of bitches down once and for all. It may be possible that I could be misguided and be completely full of shit. However, I seriously doubt it, and posit that scenario 6 is more than likely, irrevocably true, and definitely my preferred course of action. Much love to one and all. Stay cool, laugh lots, onward and upward. Stroudy. Beautiful.
There you go.
And that's it. That's it verbatim. You know, that is, and I'm going to share that one. Thank you, John. Share and get this one going around. Everybody, pass it on. And yeah, absolutely, 6 is the only option. We got to take responsibility. We got to be the ones to stand up and say, I'm going to change me to change my community now. I'm going to be part of the solution instead of buying into the problem, playing the blame game, playing the victim game, playing this and that game. This is about standing up. And what Dean was saying about his choice of game, played it and still am playing it. This is what I do every day. And yeah, you know you're alive because you're always that close to not being, and it's I can't even describe it. It's not for the weak of heart or for the weak of mind. I'll tell you that much.
Well, for the gamblers out there, they should appreciate the game of life because there's no reset button out here.
No, you don't get your money back.
No, you do not. You don't. Nope, you don't get your life back. You don't get your money back. You don't get to retry that level. It's done.
Exactly. Well, we're running out of time here. We got a little over a minute, so I'm going to do the quick shout-outs. We'll roll past the hour for sure for a few minutes anyway and whatever. But big thanks to Critical Mass Radio Online, Paul, Lisa, and the crew at Critical Mass for giving us this platform every single night of the week where we can get on and get our thoughts out there into the Akashic and into your hearts and minds, where you can make the difference that you came to do and came to be. Simple steps. Get rid of the TV, get rid of the video games, get rid of the bullshit, and start getting involved. Wake up, because if you're dealing in any of that shit, you are asleep, beyond asleep.
Go plant a garden with your kids and spend time with them.
Absolutely. You wanted kids? Then why don't you have kids?
And if they're spitting on you because you took away their video game, then spit on them back.
Yep, there you go. And just because the rest of the kids in school have video games, well, we didn't always have what we wanted growing up. Very little of what everybody else had, but it didn't matter. We grew up nonetheless, and we're okay. We're okay. And it's certainly those of us that have been through the mill that really have a true appreciation of what life really is all about. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. There's a few uncomfortable things that happened that I would probably not, want to experience again, but I am truly grateful that I have, because it gave me the viewpoint that I have right now.
I was going to say, might not prefer it, but unfortunately that made you what you are, so
I wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't change any of my experiences.
Nope, not a one. Not only do they give you experience, knowledge, wisdom, they also give you bitching rights, and you can have some fun with it too, huh?
That's true.
But... oh, wow, that was great stuff. And I want to make you a regular, Dean, and about, talking about the community and what you guys are developing out there. And I want to be on the cutting edge with you as far as what you guys are developing through your forum. And
you're going to like it.
Oh, I already know that. I already know that, because we have touched base a little bit, and I see where the intent is, and it's beautiful. It is world-changing, and it gives people a means, as you were saying earlier, and we all agree we're all on the same page. It's one thing to have to say we want to change something, but we have to have something there, if you haven't done it already, for those that haven't done that to go to. So we don't have 80% of the slaves returning to the plantation because that's what they're used to.
Yep.
Can we give out some site details for your site, Dean, please?
Oh, yeah, DeanClifford.info. Absolutely.
There you go, DeanClifford.info. This isn't the recording, so don't worry. Everyone downloads the archives for these, so the information will get there. Yeah, not sure what your schedule's like over the next little while. I know you're busy all the time, and it's always greatly appreciated when you can pop in and have some coffee talk with us. Love to have you anytime you... I already told you that. You got an open door here. Actually, carpenter to carpenter, I took the door off. I just made it a walkthrough.
Nice.
Put a nice arch in instead of the square thing,
Oh my God, I just wanted to get the link to this Drake video for the guys in the forum. Somebody wanted to watch it to see how bad it is after I just mocked it. There's 40 million views.
40 million idiots. It tells you exactly what's going on out there, though, and just how badly mainstream is duping the masses. But here's the good news: those numbers are dropping.
I certainly hope so.
Well, where you said 40 million, I think 3 or 4 years ago, with the same mindset, that would probably be 2 or 3 times that. So we are reaching people at all age levels. That's why when I post this show, it asks age level, everyone. If you're old enough to, someone asked me about a 16-year-old listening, and I said, you know what, a 16-year-old probably curses worse than I do. So, yeah, absolutely. At least this way they're going to get dealt some truth, and I already know what the phonics are regarding a lot of the words we call curse words, and they're actually beautiful words that have been turned into curses with all that bad intent, and it goes back to intent once again. So, any final comments from anybody in the calls? Dean, Tony?
Not that I know of.
Well, I would say to people, if you're downloading this episode, I would suggest, I would ask if you can, get hold of some of the information that's on Syncrenicity, Tony Farrell and what's going on there, because that is an amazing report, and the repercussions of that in-depth study he's done into the corruption is going to blow the lid off a lot of things, and he has spent over 6 months doing that. So we just need to back up the guy that's actually done some work for us and, stand on the shoulders of giants, help him do it.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's Syncrenicity.com, SYNCRENICITY.com, Syncrenicity.com. So please make it available to yourself. It's there. That's why we put it there. And also, if you need to hold of me, you can get me on Facebook, kate.rene.5, KATE.RENE.5. And I make myself completely accessible because I do. It's just what I do. Anyway. And on another note, Dean, yeah, I'd love to chit-chat with you at some point through the week and go over a couple of other things. You know what I'm talking about. And we'll talk. We'll talk.
Nice.
All right, so we'll leave it at that and leave the mystery where it belongs. But anybody else doesn't have any comments, I'll wrap this puppy up and get on with another evening and get back to the research.
Oh, hey, we need a video editor if anybody knows one.
Oh yeah, we got a few. Tony, can you've got Dean's contact, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get Zach on it.
Yeah, we got people that can help you out. So we got a full team, Dean. So please tie in, and we have the people with the resources, the abilities, and the skills, and they are many. So please do not hesitate to ask.
Excellent.
That's not even a request. That's an order, and you can bill me, and I'll be happy.
Yep. Well, I've actually got another idea I came up with that night that I watched that Drake video. Was that it seemed like it was heaven sent, the idea, but I feel the need to make a video mocking that I think would go just as viral and would bring people to the website.
Good idea. You know what? Use the tools. Don't be one. Fight fire with fire. Absolutely.
That's just it. And I've already got the script in my head and for the most part written down. That would be just fucking hilarious, I might add. But the great thing is, too, is that the cop that arrested me 2 months ago there, his name was Drain. So I've already got my artist name now.
Drain.
My artist name is going to be Drain, and I want to do nothing but make fun of Drake to make people realize how absolutely fucking stupid that stuff is, and how far gone they are to even consider it to be entertaining.
Yeah, again, let's sit around for an hour episode of watching an ass farting. Yeah,
it's no different. I assure you. You have to go and watch this now just to understand how bad it is.
It's all good, and that's what we do. We get the news and the truth out there where it should be, and we don't pull any punches. Obviously, I think you can tell that. So that's kind of how we roll here.
Excellent.
But anyway, thank you again, Dean. That was just awesome to have you. And again, doors open, no door, whatever. Like to keep things. We got a very large listening audience, and the more people can find out what's going on in terms of solution with you and other people that are working around us, the better. Because we got to be solution driven. We cannot deal in the fear porn any longer, and we just move on.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Okay, I'm going to make myself some Brussels sprouts. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, take care, Dean, and thank you so much, my friend. Much appreciated.
No, thank you. It's all good. I like getting out there. So.
All right, much love, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
All right,
Cheers,
thanks. Thank you, Dean. Tony, any last words you want to pop in here before I sign off?
No, I'm good. That was a really good show. Got lots of good information out there. Yeah, it's all good. I'm fine.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in tonight to Outside the Box here on Critical Mass Radio with hosts Kate of Gaia, myself, and, of course, Tony Z, with special guest Dean Clifford, mixing it up on the main waves. Got to love that stuff. So don't forget, tomorrow night we're on QL Television with QLP Media, and that's with Johnny Guzman at QL Television. Don't worry, the links go out through Skype and through Facebook, so don't worry about looking for them. They'll be sent to you. Other than that, great show tonight. Just lots of, like Tony said, lots of great information, things that we can sink our teeth into. So until, I guess we'll do QL tomorrow night, until Tuesday night, signing off for Critical Mass Radio online here outside the box. Take care. Be dangerous. And be dangerous. We love dangerous. Take care, guys. Good night.